Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you are all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and what a day of Call of Duty we have just had once again. So many implications of course from today's matches for what the seeding is going to look like for the Major. A lot of things have now been resolved, some things certainly though still up in the air, and well, it didn't exactly go how I expected it to. Do take your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. And well, these were the three series on the day. Mutineers Legion, Rokkr, Seattle Surge, that's a big one, and Subliners versus the Toronto Ultra we are about to dive into. There was some discussion on exactly how the tiebreakers work. So this is the way it worked. If four teams were all tied together, let's say on 2 and 3 for example, as we're going to see an example of in just a second, then it would be broken by the tie, effectively the match win percentage between the tied teams. So some teams would be 2 and 1, and whoever beat the other team out of those two, then they would become Team A. So the tiebreakers weren't as complicated as some people might have thought, but so definitely some of the things we talked about earlier today didn't exactly come to fruition, but this is effectively how it worked, and we'll have to see how that well portrays itself, manifests itself in reality over the coming minutes. So the first series of the day was Mutineers versus the Paris Legion, and if you came into the day as an OpTic player, as an OpTic supporter, you were certainly wanting Paris to manage to take this series, because Paris were 1 in 3, they also lost to OpTic, so the ideal world would be, because of course Mutineers beat OpTic, that Paris win this series, they go to 2 in 3, you get a crazy tiebreaker down there, which OpTic end up actually winning out of, because they have a favourable record against Paris, outside of that horrible week 2 that they had, of course, that we did discuss. And Paris Legion came out swinging. I mean, game number 1 was super down to the wire. Honestly, we had so many crazy checkmate hardpoints today, but Paris managed to close it out. It was very much a close fought affair. Aqua had a really great map 1 as well, and what you gotta say is that Fire right here on these new roles, they changed up the roles again. Fire's now kind of back on the flex. Scrap's in the SMG now, and well, Scraps didn't exactly have the most phenomenal series in the world, but Fire was so much better, at least statistically, than he has been recently. So definitely seems like a step in the right direction for Paris making that role change, at least, at the very least. But in the Search and Destroy, it was a slightly different story. Neptune was absolutely out of control right here on Express. This 1v2 was just ridiculous, and yeah, Fire couldn't get the job done in this one, but going into the control and elsewhere, he actually did turn up very significantly. They take the Garrison control, and then they go once again to a Garrison, this time on hardpoint, and Paris Legion get the job done 250 to 174. So really interesting to me to see this Florida Mutineers team, because Paris have been up and down. Sometimes they look good, sometimes they certainly don't. This final map as well, Classic went crazy. He had like so many kills, so he actually put on a really big map, and when he does that, it's going to be difficult to get past this team, because usually he's not the one putting up crazy numbers. But Mutineers, they come off a 3-0 against OpTic last week, but now they're having a difficult time with the Paris Legion. They lost to Seattle Surge not long ago as well, so not exactly ideal for Mutineers. I mean, we saw of course Havoc saying a couple of days ago as well, sub me in guys, but maybe questions have to be raised about Mutineers, given especially a defeat like this wasn't exactly ideal for them, especially when they certainly did have a chance to get through to the winners bracket. Does not seem like that is going to be the case anymore, so Paris get the job done, and OpTic are probably sitting there thinking, okay, this is fantastic. As Maven says, that Paris win makes things even crazier. OpTic fans are now Rokkr fans. A Rokkr win guarantees a winners bracket start for OpTic at the next Major. So as I say, all those crazy 2 and 3 tiebreakers means that OpTic are currently 2 and 2. If they lose to Dallas tomorrow, they'll be 2 and 3, but if Rokkr were to win, that would still be good enough based on their head-to-heads, as we looked at what Alex Penn was talking about a couple of minutes ago. There were plenty of replies here, the whole tiebreaker examples and all this stuff. So much discussion formerly if it wasn't sure exactly what was going on, but they soon did realise that if Rokkr managed to beat the Seattle Surge, then they would be guaranteed a winners bracket spot at the Major, which will potentially mean some crazy matchups, I'm sure, in the winners bracket. So this result changes everything. OpTic fans looking for Minnesota to walk away with this series, and it didn't exactly start off as they would have liked it to. Game number 1, Prestinni came up massive. He was, so important to this team early on, and you've got to say, I want to give a shout out to Prestinni in the video, because he has been so phenomenal for them since the start of Stage 2. He's really turned it around, came up big when they need him to, and this was the question, right? Can he put up consistent, dominant slaying performances in that SMG role? If he can, this team can compete, and he was certainly doing it in Game 1 and Game number 2. I mean, right here, 31 in 22 on the whole, and Loony's double negative, and somehow they win this Game number 1 on Raid. Then we go into a Search and Destroy, and on Prestinni at A-bomb site over on the Express, as Nameless talks about right here. I think it's his birthday today, so happy birthday to Nameless. But Prestinni was really good this map once again. I think they closed out in a pretty impressive fashion. They end up 6-4 against the Minnesota Rokkr team that are no slouches in Search and Destroy, certainly. So Seattle got up 2-0. If they win this, I'm pretty sure they at least put themselves in position to qualify. I'm not 100% sure if they would have qualified, but I'm pretty sure they would have found their way to, because if they'd have won this, they'd have been 3 and 2, and that should have been good enough to get them out into the winners bracket. So, it was all on the line here for both of these teams. Seattle got up 2-0 in the series, but well, it does not not end in quite a similar way. Cod Game Media say all the OpTic Chicago fans right now watching this series, it's time to get behind the Minnesota Rokkr. Can they potentially pull off a reverse sweep? As we talked about earlier today, or maybe yesterday now, the only team so far this season, or at least the only 4-man lineup to not yet have been defeated, was the Minnesota Rokkr, with FaZe losing yesterday, of course, with Rokkr with their new lineup with Standy. They haven't lost yet. They beat OpTic and they beat the Dallas Empire that we saw. Could they do it again here down 2-0? Well, Standy decides to come to play. 31 in 21 on the control. Really have a series on our hands now on the radios. I mean, crazy stuff. Plus 10 to get the job done right here. Then we go into a game number 4. And well, this was a blockbuster as well. Accuracy goes off towards the end, has that nice little fire spree. But yeah, I mean, Standy turns up as well. Priestahh had his moments, certainly. Attach on a fire spree as well. And towards the end, it felt like Rokkr were really gathering their momentum here. And this is a scary thing for Seattle Surge. Yes, occasionally you're going to lose some of these maps. You're going to have to go to a game 5. But Rokkr are game 5 specialists. And if there's any team that you kind of trust to have the ice to clutch up in these situations, it is Minnesota Rokkr. But the way it happened was just so devastating for Seattle that we're going to look at here right now. So we go to the game 5. Clay says this is what I thought was kind of interesting. Why does everyone keep saying they caught people snaking? It is allowed. Of course, it's not technically gentleman's agreemented. It is difficult to do so. People were talking yesterday about the fact that they patched snaking, or at least they had nerfed it to some degree, and then FaZe lost yesterday. They are still playing on the old patch for now, but yeah, when the new patch does come into play from stage 3, will it make a difference? Who really knows? We'll have to see. I mean, you can still kind of do like the obnoxious like snaking stuff when you actually go prone and stand up, but doing the crouch stand up thing, you can't do it as much on the new patch. We're not playing on that one yet. We go to the game 5, and I mean, Rokkr, obviously they're so good at search and destroy. It really felt like they had their stuff prepared on this map, and here comes Attach once again. I mean, this guy, you put him in a 1v1 situation, you're always feeling confident this guy's going to come out with a W. He does right here. It's actually a 1 versus 2. He gets the job done, takes down Prestinni and Gunless. And I mean, the way that Seattle were throwing away some of these rounds was like, I mean, what am I actually watching? Getting caught off guard, no trades anywhere to be seen. I mean, you know, this is with their chance, right? If they win this, they're going to get to the winners bracket. You know, they can finally prove, you know, what they've been working hard to do, that they can take down some of the best teams in a bracket format and try and win in one of these tournaments, because they've been looking so good these last couple of weeks. Doesn't happen though, of course. I mean, Minnesota Rokkr Attach comes up big here, and the next round it happened was just ridiculous. I mean, it's 2-4. I mean, here comes Accuracy. 1 versus 3 effectively. I believe he takes down Prestinni, and then Octane, I really don't know what's going on here. Like, Octane's laying down behind the truck. He somehow doesn't hear him, even though, like, Accuracy could Prestinni, I'm pretty sure, like, right on top of him. But Octane, instead of going for the kill, he just kind of lays down there, doesn't hear Accuracy slide somehow, and somehow he sneaks past him. I mean, there's, like, you know, there's 45 seconds on the clock, of course. Prestinni gets taken down by Accuracy. Somehow Octane's just sitting there, not, like, turning around. I really don't know. It was like, it was honestly like Seattle were trying to lose. And then Gunless goes all the way over to the catamaran. He's kind of hiding. Accuracy makes the only good play that he has, which is to hop on the defuse, and Gunless doesn't check it and ends up getting the ninja. I mean, like, you can't make this stuff up. The way that Seattle threw this round away, like, if you win this, you win your offense, you're back on defense, you could tie the game up at 4-4. This was the perfect opportunity to do so, but this really was the dagger, right? I mean, as you can see, Prestinni gets taken down, and Octane's just sitting there, right? He's not going for the trade. I can understand that maybe the sound cues were a little bit weird, and he thought that he went to the left, but he actually went to the right, and, you know, we've all had those kind of awkward situations, but it's just one of those which, you know, seems kind of unacceptable to lose a round like this, and it happens. They go down 5-2, and then, well, they end up closing out the game as well. So a reverse sweep for Rokkr to guarantee them their winners bracket spot, along with Dallas Empire as well, and also they also guarantee OpTic Chicago spot. So absolutely craziness, and as Priestahh says, reverse sweep for the winners bracket. GG's to Seattle, a crazy match, and well, here comes the frustration for good reason from some of the Seattle guys. I didn't even hear Lamar, like, god damn it, like, lost absolute full. I mean, like, what's going on here? You know, he killed Prestinni off bomb, then my teammates started calling him on the other side of me, and I never heard his slide. You know, just so unlucky, and no, absolutely giga through that series from being up 2-0, so much opportunity, and then here comes the OpTic side of it, right? We love the Rokkr. They get the job done regardless of the result tomorrow against the Dallas Empire. It will get to a point where OpTic Chicago qualify for the winners bracket based on their results so far, when Minnesota was on the comeback, says Dylan Envoy right here, and as Prestinni says, I'm getting the craziest chest workout tonight, nothing but pure anger, literally ready to double the weight of my maxes. Sheesh, what is going on right now? You know, god damn it, I actually sold that S&D so hard. I'm sure super frustrating for the Seattle guys. This was their chance, and as you can see over the course of it, Standy with a monster series in the end. I mean, Loony doesn't have the greatest one. Prestinni turns up. I mean, the slaying power from Surge really didn't come to play too much, but it really was those search and destroy mistakes which came down to cost them in the end. And this is how the group looks at the present time in terms of Group B. So OpTic, even if they lose tomorrow, they're guaranteed to make it out of this crazy 4-way tiebreaker, if that is indeed how it goes. But if they beat the Dallas Empire, they'll be 3-2, and they lose the tiebreaker to the Rokkr. So the best that OpTic can hope for is top 2 in this group. And that's actually kind of interesting, because if you come second, you play the 3rd place team from Group A, but then if you win that match, you play the 1st place team from Group A, meaning that OpTic, if they come second in this group, which I'm pretty sure they do by beating Dallas, they will be in FaZe's side of the bracket. But if they lose tomorrow's match, they will then be in either Rokkr or Empire's side of the bracket, I believe. So it's kind of interesting exactly what's going on there, but I suppose we'll talk about that in tomorrow in a little bit more detail. And well, this was the final match of the day, also a very entertaining one. Subliners versus the Toronto Ultra, also with some storylines and relevance on the line. So game number 1, a scene went crazy. I mean, Raid Hardpoint seems to be his map. I'm not sure if like the statistics really do back this up, but I remember back in February, he had a 22-5 map that we talked about up against the Rokkr, I believe it was at the time. That was the kind of a scene versus his old team kind of discussion that we had at the time, because of course they dropped him at the end of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And here he does a similar thing, 25-11. Interestingly, when you looked at the damage for this map, he actually had like not the lowest damage on his team, but it was kind of significantly below the rest of the guys. So seems like he was going to get a lot of kills with only, 1 or 2 bullets pushed in, but 2 minutes in the hill, 25-11. Can't really complain with that one. Then in the Search and Destroy, Subliners taken as well. Feel like Toronto were a little bit lost on this one. I mean, towards the end, Bance had a, obviously he had a very difficult map right here, a 2-9. And so, well, despite the fact that Toronto completely got outslayed in terms of the scoreboards, it was actually a 6-4, but it always felt like Subliners were going to find a way to take this one down. But the raid control, surprising enough to me, actually went the way of Toronto Ultra. The round number 1, I mean, New York are so good at their offenses, we already know this, especially on raid. They win the first offense, you're thinking, okay, New York are going to find their way to close this one out. But Toronto with an offense, then they go into a defense, take that one, and then this final round, I mean, look at Cammy just completely demolishing people. It was actually CleanX that had a really great map here, and CleanX has a phenomenal map 4, but it just isn't good enough, right? And you just really feel that New York, like, even if they're not firing on all cylinders, and like everything isn't going perfectly for them, because Clayster really didn't have a great series right here, they still find a way to get the job done. This final map was just ridiculous. It went all the way down to the wire. I mean, that P2 was just insanity. Clayster was all the way in the spawn trying to play for spawns. He ends up getting cleaned out, and then, well, somehow the New York guys spawn there, but Toronto break into the B2, and then they throw away the rotation, or at least they throw away the hill. Subliners break in, they close out the game like 250 to 244 or something, and honestly, like, never say die, certainly, from the New York Subliners. And as you can see right here, Clayster 60-82. Not so often we see him going so significantly negative, and despite the team getting outslayed on the whole, they still managed to win the series. So I suppose that's pretty surprising, but it's pretty impressive at the same time, and this is what the Group A looks like right now. So there's still a lot to be played for right here in terms of the placings within the group, because FaZe are actually now in second, technically. Now, of course, as I said again a couple of minutes ago, I'm expecting FaZe to come out number 1 here, and I'm pretty sure if they beat the Ravens tomorrow, then they will come out number 1 because they beat the Subliners right at the start of the stage. But on the other side of things, we've got Los Angeles Thieves versus LAG, which is, I'm not sure if there's anything actually on the line for this one, but well, it's certainly going to be interesting to see where these two teams stack up. But intrigued to take your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Tomorrow's matches, I'm sure, are also going to be fantastic. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Like, you enjoyed this content, other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.